I've said this a few times today, but really what sums up my view on this budget is we do face tough choices. That's our job as members of council. There's a lot in this budget that doesn't make any sense. Doesn't to me, doesn't to taxpayers. Some might call me out for calling this a wish list. It was 10 months of wishing. Council's budget only a year ago, we went from putting a 4-year budget cycle of 3.4% tax increase to now almost 8% in a budget adjustment year. That doesn't make any sense. We have $100 million surplus, honestly, biggest surplus I can ever remember the city having. You would know by reading, and you would know by reading this document that you couldn't compare it to anything else. And with a $100 million surplus, we have to raise taxes by almost 8% this year, according to this. Doesn't make any sense. We're told because of inflation was higher last year, slowly but surely inflation is starting to ease. So the excuse doesn't start to make any more sense. Because we're starting to sound like every other business out there saying we're increasing costs through inflation, just like supermarkets. We will always have a list of competing priorities. That's democracy and why we're members of council. We will always have a list of things we really want to do, things that are important. But we don't make these decisions in a vacuum. It would be one thing if this was only one additional cost that Calgarians will be facing, but it isn't. We approved a tax shift on top of more responsibility going to residents. The Calgarians I represent, who aren't rich at all, who aren't able to qualify for fair entry either, those are my constituents and why I stand here. The diversity of Calgary who pay for property taxes directly or indirectly through their rent and who feel the effects of tax increases because everything else is increasing too, that's why I stand here. Because this is not too rich for my blood. I'm representing somebody else. It's a tax increase beyond what we showed Calgarians a year ago. We're collecting record local access fees and everything else going up. I know there are important investments. They're also called expenditures. And I have heard clearly from my constituents, we must invest in public safety and affordability. But fundamentally, we're trying to do absolutely everything at once. And I think what has me the most worried is about next year, when we have another list of investments that seem just as urgent. Or maybe I will sit in this chair or another spot on this horseshoe and watch a member of council who is supporting this budget decide they want to cut. That's what I see happening next year. So while I do support some of the investments in here, I can't support this budget today because I'm not supporting it for myself. I'm supporting it for the Calgarians I represent and why I took oath of office to run for this position. I will say I appreciate administration. I appreciate all your efforts to get us here. We gave you a different direction this year, a direction that was very different than we have ever done, and you delivered on it, so thank you. But as the governors, we have to make that decision. And there are many, many priorities given to you from council. You didn't give those priorities to us. We gave those to you, and I appreciate all your efforts. And it's not easy, I get it. And we don't have easy decisions to make either. So with that, I will not be supporting this budget. I will always be able to justify my why when I leave this building. And thank you so much.